All right, I have got 11 o'clock on the dot. So, welcome everyone. Hello. Hi, Tamara. Welcome to the August Real Talk about real estate. My name is Michelle, and I am the marketing lead for the ABR designation. I am so excited to be rejoined today by my partner in crime, Tamara Suminski. Tamara is the broker and co-owner of Beach Real Estate Group and a 2020 REBAC Hall of Fame inductee. Yay! Today's Real Talk is all about setting the stage for your buyer clients and for sellers agents. As a reminder, we are live, so if you have any questions or just want to say hi, leave us a like or comment on the video. Take it away, Tamara.
Awesome. Hey, from San Antonio. So welcome everyone, and we're really excited. I'm going to give a shout out to Michelle. We are partners in crime, and I love working with this girl. And hopefully you are all reading your buyer's rep newsletter once a month. We won an award in July. And so I think we need to give her a huge shout out, because our July issue was really special. And if you read it, it was really cool. It has a lot of great stats. And I love the section on what your buyer's agent can do for you buying a home. And I think that's a great piece that you can use with your clients. But Michelle, you guys did awesome. It was like a big news publication award, exciting thing. So make sure you're checking your TBRs and your newsletters, because they're pretty awesome. So today I really wanted to, and when Michelle and I were kind of coming up with some ideas for chatting, we want to look at how do we stand out? How do we delight our clients? And how do we stand out with the seller's agents? Because let's face it, all of this is a negotiation in a sense, and having a successful interaction with your client is all about how you set it up. So we want to turn these buyer leads into clients. And I love, and I'm going back to that July section, because we surveyed our members and we looked at some of the pain points. But I'll say this, in 2020, the average for ABRs was working with 12 buyers and 10 buyer closings. So that means that our ABRs are doing an amazing job from lead inquiry to buyer consultation, hopefully getting those buyer representation agreements signed, to getting them across the finish line. And how do we do that? How do we delight them? How do we set the expectations? Well, I'll say this. The first step is the phone call, the initial inquiry, whether it's an email or a phone call. It's getting to know our clients, get the information. And I'll admit, when I was first in the business and new, I was tiptoeing around questions, right? Because I felt like I wanted to be liked. I wanted them to like me. So I didn't ask the hard questions. But the harder the questions that you ask, the better of a job you can diagnose and do. There's nothing worse than getting out there, getting on the streets, showing properties, writing an offers, and going, I should have asked. Why didn't I ask that question? Right?
Right.
So I think the idea here is, and for me, the fail-safe method is asking the who, what, when, where, why, how, and asking those hard questions. Understanding their style. So the golden rule is do unto others as you have done unto you, or something like that. But the platinum rule is to treat others the way they want to be treated. So understanding the dynamic of the person you're dealing with. So when we're talking about our potential buyer clients and getting them to consultation. So again, we're kind of at that first inquiry, whether it's email, text, phone call. It's understanding about them, their preferences, their styles, right? So a great DISC profile, right? So the DISC profile is the behavioral style. So are you starting to understand their style? Are they a driver? Are they an influencer? Do you need to kind of like appeal to their senses because they're interactive? Are they a supporter and you really need to nurture them and they want to nurture you? Are they analytic? They need detailed step-by-step information. But if you're giving the detailed person to the dominant driver, you've already lost them. and you're not building a relationship, you're not creating value, and they may not listen to you because they don't trust you yet. So the idea is, how do we build this trust so that we can delight them along the way? And ideally, you want to get them to come into the office for the buyer consultation. For the sake of this, we don't have enough time to go into detail on the buyer consultation. I'd say that's definitely another 20-minute session or another 1-hour session, or take the ABR for the buyer consultation. But I think the idea here is to set yourself up for success no matter how that looks. So making sure your materials are on par, because if you're not doing a good consultation, you're certainly going to be frustrated in this process, especially in this extreme seller's market. How do you get to set the expectations? How do you get to be the messenger of the market and pre-tell the good, the bad, the ugly if you're not sitting them down? And I know that right now, and I love this because Michelle, we're face to face on Zoom, and I think we've all gotten really comfortable with the Zoom platform or some sort of a face to face, screen to screen platform, and you can do consultation from that platform. But we need to be able to dive in deeper, right, Michelle? I mean, we don't know what we don't know. Our buyers don't know what they don't know.
Right.
And our job is to educate them and take them through this process. And unless we're asking the hard questions, so the who is a part of this process? So who are the buyers? Who's going to be on the financing? Are there any other decision makers? Because sometimes in the buying process, they might not be on the loan. They may not be on the contract, but maybe parents or a good friend needs to see the property first, or is the one that's financing or giving them the down payment. So they might be a decision maker. So getting everyone on board will save you a bit of a headache. The what is it that you're looking for, right? So describe your perfect home. When they dream, let them dream. You need to bring them back to reality.
Right.
Because
make realistic.
There's the wants.
Sure.
And there's the needs.
Right.
And sometimes these need to evolve and change. So that's the who, the what, the when. Ideally, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, when would you like the keys to your new home? And then you can work your way backwards, because a lot of times buyers come to you and they're in a frenzy. They think they're ready to go now, and you're spending all this energy and attention, and it's really next year that they're going to be buying. Or vice versa. They're like, oh, don't worry, dear. We're going to be ready next year. And then you start with them, and then you realize, oh no, these are hot buyers. They're ready to buy right now. They need something now, because there's a piece of information they didn't tell you. And it's not that I bring this up a lot because there's still that old adage, right? That buyers are liars. Is that not nice to say? It's false. I think it's a false statement. We tend to think that, but I think it's upon us to ask them the most questions we can to do the best for them, because they don't know what they don't know. Even when Chris and I bought our house last year, we changed our mind on some of the things that we wanted and needed. And so we didn't peel the onion, the layer back enough on ourselves. So that's up to us to ask a lot of those questions. So the who, what, when. How about the where? Obviously, the where. We need to help decide where they're going to be finding the home, and the how. Who, what, when, where. Oh, the how. But the why. Isn't that important? Have you read Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why? Or seen his TED Talk? Okay, put it on your to-do list. TED Talk, 10-minute TED Talk, Simon Sinek, Start With Why. The why is the heart of everything. And when you can understand the why, you figure out the how to work with your people, right? And that's with everything in life. When we understand the why really deep, the what and the how fall into line. So the why, again, these are things you can start to ask on the inquiry or at consultation. Learn about your people. The consultation is not about us being the me monster. It's about them. It's about finding more out about them. Think about us going to the doctor's office or the CPA or the attorney's office. You sat in the attorney's office and all they did is talk about themselves, and they didn't diagnose you. Same thing with the doctor's office. You wouldn't really respect them and you probably wouldn't trust them. But when it's all about them, they know you have their best interests. Asking the hard questions, but justifying, explaining in order to help you the most, I'm going to have to ask you some hard questions. But we're working together as a team. This is the biggest investment. This is your biggest asset. And it's important that I know how to serve you the most. If I don't ask you the hard questions, then what's the point? And if you're thinking about working with someone else that's not asking you the hard questions, how are they going to serve you the most as you move forward? Because this process is not what it was 5 years ago. This process is not for the faint of heart. We're in an extreme seller's market. Maybe it's cool, and I don't know, Facebook land, Facebook friends, ABR family, you can put in the chat box, have you seen a transition in your market? Because it's been a seller's market, it's been an extreme, and maybe there's been a little bit of cooling. I mean, maybe it just means that it went from like piping hot to like red hot. So maybe instead of 20 offers, you're seeing 5. I don't know. I think we're seeing some buyers kind of wait on the sidelines right now, and some buyers are going to come back down the road. Some buyers might have been priced out. This has been a crazy market for the past 18 months. But our job is to set them up. And the more we explain things in a meaningful, helping educate them way, then the more they're going to trust us. Okay, so tips. Be the messenger of the market. Tell your people in the beginning that you're going to let them know the good, the bad, the ugly. Like, they're going to appreciate you for that. They're going to like that you're willing to have the hard conversations with them. They may not like it, and just set the expectation. You may not like some of the things I have to say, but I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You know, I could be like really sweet and kind, or I can care about you and tell you the stuff that you want to know. I'll still be kind. Okay. So the buyer rep agreement, if you do a good consultation, bottom line, it should be really easy to sign. Again, go back, read your TBR, read the materials, look at the stuff that Reback is putting out, and maybe refresh and take the ABR with a fresh set of eyes if that's an opportunity for you. And keep an eye out for buyer consultation type things and buyer rep agreement type sessions, because I think we could all use a brush up. Sometimes we just need to come back with a fresh set of eyes to look at how to do things better. And talk to the lender. Talk to the lender. Get a good sense of the financing situation, how the lender works, because sometimes your buyers are coming to you with their own financing, and then sometimes you might refer them to someone, and if the lender doesn't seem to have it together, you should be letting your buyer clients know that. And how are you going to sell them in the seller's market to the other agent and the seller? And so I want to transition a little bit to working with the seller's agent, because I think you also need to set the stage for showings and writing offers with your clients, right? You need to let them know what they need to expect and what's expected of them. So letting them know how the showing protocol is. They need to be there on time. They need to show up on time. Like, there's nothing worse than being late to an appointment, especially if the seller's there waiting, or the seller's agent's there, or you're late to your appointment and you've backed up the next buyer's agent. That information's going to get back, and you've already negotiated against yourself. So the buyers need to understand that, right? They need to know there's eyes and ears everywhere. Michelle, do you have like a Ring doorbell or
we have a nanny cam for the dog.
Okay. So if you were put your house on the market today, you'd know exactly what was going on in your house.
I would.
Yeah. And not every state has the rules. Like California, sellers are supposed to put notices up that there's eyes and ears out, that there's surveillance, but I don't think that's the case in every state. So your clients need to know they could be negotiating. It could be their reaction, right? They fall in love. They sit down. Sometimes they want to talk about their offer. Do that somewhere else. Don't do it inside. And then don't do it right outside either, because the Ring doorbell could be listening, or the neighbors, like the nosy neighbors, right? So there's Mrs. Kravitz looking out the window, and what are they hearing that might work for or against them? And just, they need to know that every one of their steps is a part of the negotiation. I'd say that also we tell our buyer clients, like, still show up to the appointment if there's an appointment. So like, for example, you work really hard setting the appointments. And I know sometimes your buyers drive by and you're pulling up and they're like, we don't want to see it. Well, they should have done the homework ahead of time. They should have done a Google Street View or driven the property and really known so that you can look good when it comes time to do your part to set up the showing. So there's nothing worse than having to cancel at the last minute. And you kind of can't cancel if the seller's there, the seller's agent's there, because that could backfire down the road.
Yeah.
So should we transition about how to butter up the seller's agents? I mean,
Yeah.
really, at the end of the day, right now, it's still a seller's market. You're hearing that, right, Michelle? That's what everyone's saying. And people are frustrated because they can't get their offer accepted. And so I want to know what you're doing with the seller's agents, because what are you doing that either is going to bomb and backfire? Because I don't think we always realize our actions may work against us, right? The things we say, how we say it. Or you're doing such an amazing job and you're delightful and people really want to work with you. But how do you enhance that? So here's my first rule. Rule number 1, read the MLS. When in doubt, read the MLS. And even after you've read it, go back and read it again and again and again and again. Put yourself in the seller's agent shoes, buyer's agents. Now, I know it seems like they're sitting up on their throne because they have the listing. They kind of are. Like, that's just a condition of the market. But I think ultimately, many of your questions will be answered if you read the MLS. There's nothing worse than nagging that seller's agents to ask questions that they've taken the time to put in the MLS. It's so frustrating. That's like strike one. You've already negotiated against yourself. So the better thing to do is go back, check. And if maybe sometimes they don't word it perfectly, like it contradicts the agent remarks and the showing remarks might contradict. So that's an opportunity to get clarification. Now make sure that you ask in the method they prefer. So if they say text, text. If they say call, call. If they say email, email. Whatever their preferred method is, subscribe to that and do it that way. Show appreciation for their time and effort. Thank them for the notes that they did put in the MLS and be clear that you just need a little clarification. That will go a long way because it will show that you've acknowledged what they've already written, which means you've read it. As a seller's agent, I get texts and phone calls where I'm like, did you check the MLS? Did you check it? Like, really? Did you check it? So that's already in my mind, like strike one. You can't even read, right? So do that. Okay. Did I mention read the MLS? Number 2, communicate their way. And I've said that already. Whatever their preference is, follow their communication style. Of course, there may be times where you need to pick up the phone and call, and there are times that the phone is the perfect method, but try first with their text, their email, or their call, whatever their preference is, communicate their way. Number 3, setting the appointment. Follow their exact protocol. Exact protocol. We're still in COVID. There's we know that the Delta variant's here and everyone is handling things a little different. Some sellers might be very particular and very sensitive, and they might be living in their home and they might have their special protocol. So follow it exactly when you're setting the appointment. If they need a certain form or they want this or they want that, just do it. Just do it and don't harass them. You don't know what they're living on the other side. So rather than question and say, no one else is asking me to do this, just do it. Appreciate what they're requesting and understand there might be rationale behind it. And again, these kinds of things go a long way down the road. So number 4, be on time. There's nothing worse than being late. I mentioned already, it's setting the buyer's expectations, but make sure you acknowledge and you do it for the seller's agent's sake. And we already know why. Again, make sure that you inform your buyers that if they didn't do their homework and you show up to the property and the seller's there or the seller's agent's there waiting on you guys, you're going to have to accommodate the showing and just be kind and pleasant and get in and out. And that's okay too. And they never know. Sometimes they change their mind. They might like it. And rather than wait 2 weeks to decide that they're going to change their mind when the property's gone, just go in. Maybe they've changed their mind. We don't know what we don't know. And it's not a matter of being flip-floppy. It's just we don't know. Number 6 is eyes and ears everywhere. I mentioned that already. We know that there's recording devices and there's humans and there's people all around. compliment the house. If someone's there, compliment the house. If there's eyes and ears, again, compliment the house. So your behavior may be monitored. Be wary of feedback. Michelle, this one gets some backlash sometimes.
Yeah, this one's spicy sometimes.
It's spicy. Let's see how the group is today. Be wary of feedback. So oftentimes as buyer's agents, you feel compelled to give feedback. The listing agent, the seller's agent, either through showing time or Supra or whatever, they're asking you for feedback and they want you to give them information. I don't give it. I'm sorry. I don't give it, but I have a reason why. Now, when I'm a seller's agent, of course, I ask for feedback. I get it. When I'm a buyer's agent, I don't give it. Aren't I nasty?
No.
But there's a reason, because my job is my fiduciaries to my client, like whatever side I'm on, that's my fiduciary. And the feedback thing, this is why you could be negotiating against your buyer, depending on the feedback you give. So maybe if I generally will say, I haven't debriefed with my client yet. I haven't had an opportunity to seek the feedback that you might want. And usually in this market, the properties get scooped up and that's that. That's easy enough. It's the ones that where it's a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and they're still asking for feedback, right? They're still like, get me that feedback.
Yeah.
And if it's still been on the market for that long, the feedback probably is it's priced too high.
Or other things.
Or other things that you may or may not want to share. And that
right.
Here's the thing, because sometimes buyers agents are really honest and say, well, it really smells in there and the dog, did something in this room, or there's this problem or that problem. Here's the thing. If you give that feedback or your buyer said, I'm not going to write on that, I'm passing, and you say that, what happens 2 weeks from now when the property's lingering on the market and your clients come back and say, you know what, Michelle, we thought about it and we might be willing to work on that property, especially because it's been on for about 3 weeks. Don't you think we can get a deal?
Not
now, right. Now you've got to call that agent back and eat crow. And they might have already given that feedback to the seller, and the seller now already doesn't like you and your buyers. They're offended, or something worse or different, or be wary of feedback. I think it can backfire. I think you could negotiate against your client. You could give them such great feedback that you're also negotiating against them because they think they love it so much. And this is the tricky thing about the seller's market. You do have to show how much your client loves it, because the seller and the seller's agent want to be confident that they're going for the offer where the buyers aren't going to back out. But you can love it so much that they perceive you're willing to pay for how much you love it. So we got to just be really careful with that. Number 8 is asking questions before you offer. So buyer's agents, now I know this for a fact, and many ABRs don't do this, but sometimes we get busy and we forget to do this, or we assume we're not going to reach the listing agent, or we might be nagging the listing agent. But there's nothing worse as a seller's agent getting a blind offer, not having heard anything from the buyer's agent. There's never been a conversation. There's never been a text. There's never been an inquiry or a note or a text that says an offer is coming in. But nonetheless, I think that as a seller's agent, again, in their shoes, when a buyer's agent asks me critical questions or good questions, I know that they're good, they're diligent, they're trying to find out how to write the best offer to appeal to the seller, how to satisfy what the seller's needs are. So it's a negotiation tactic for sure, because you're getting information, you're uncovering the rocks and the stones to see what's lying beneath, to find out what information you can go and give to your buyer so they can write an amazing offer. Or maybe you can uncover other things. So calling, texting, emailing, again, trying to follow the protocol of the seller's agent and asking, we're getting ready to write an offer. We saw your notes in the MLS. Thank you so much. We're going to accommodate those notes. But I just wanted to ask, is there anything else that you think would be great for the buyer to add to make it a dynamic offer for your seller? You know, what are your seller specific needs? I saw that you need a 45-day escrow. Is that because they need more time in the house? Would it be better for them if we days they had their money and they have a 15-day free rent back? Let us know. We're willing to accommodate, and we want to make sure that we're working together to give your seller the best results and get this great home for our buyers. So I think there's so many questions we can ask, and buyers agents sometimes just don't ask. And here's the thing. Some sellers agents have really loose lips. They might even tell you how much the offers are in for. And again, it's state dependent, because sellers agents can shop offers. No offer is confidential unless a confidentiality agreement is presented. So that agent might be willing to share compelling information about the other offers that give you the edge. Again, it's state specific whether that comes into play. But again, I would think that a seller's agent appreciates that you're going the extra mile, that you want to write the best offer. You want to put your best foot forward. Because again, there's nothing worse than randomly getting an email with an offer and you're like, wait a minute, I never even heard from this buyer's agent. Who is this person? They never even checked in with me. They never even told me they're sending an offer. So again, with your buyers, get permission if you're going to give any information. So if you're going to do hypothetical bargaining, and sometimes you have to give a little information to get a lot. So your buyers might say, you know, I'm willing to share this with the seller, so you can tell them that information. Hopefully you'll get some more great information back. Number 9, prepare offer and send to their exact instructions. Do exactly what they say and then some. I think, Michelle, I was giving you this example earlier, right? That an agent in our office, Annette, who's a rock star, she was the only agent that followed the seller's agent's exact protocol. And sometimes they're neck and neck in multiple situations. You're all right about the same. And who's the one that stands out? And you need to be the person that stands out. You need to be the agent that stands out. You want to try to have your buyer stand out. But in this case, she was the only one that sent one PDF. PDF. That was the thing. And the agent told her, I accepted your offer because you're the only one that followed my instructions and sent one PDF. Who knew? Who would have known, right? So whatever the case may be, now they might ask you for certain materials and they might want certain stuff. As much as you can, gather that. So they might ask for proof of funds, the pre-approval letter, the cross-qual. Now, the Code of Ethics says that they don't have to have all those things in order to present the offer, but we don't know what in writing them and the seller's agreement is. So try to do exactly what they say again and then some. So even though maybe they just say, put it in the purchase agreement and send it by Monday at noon, then you obviously want to do and then some, and then add the pre-approval and the proof of funds and whatever else. We know we're not doing buyer letters, and that was all in February. So you can go back to that Facebook Live.
And the TBR.
Yeah, good. Yeah, the TB. Yeah, do that one, and then the TBR. So love letters and buyer letters are out. Being amazing with the seller's agent is in. So there you go. But prepare the offer and send exact to their instructions. And that's why that phone call is good, because if you can make that phone call or text and get more information, it helps you understand why the seller wants the offer the certain way. Because if they want 60-day escrow and your buyer can give 60-day, then give them the 60-day when you know why. Now, maybe your buyers want to close sooner and that ends up being a negotiation. But in the hypothetical bargaining, you can say, my buyer's given me permission to say that they really want a 30-day escrow. And here's why. If we wrote 30 days, what do you think would happen? Then you're kind of pre-negotiating, so you're not sending them something very contrary to what they've asked.
Right.
You know, it's not about this one-upping each other. It's about working together to make things come together for both of our buyers and sellers. So here's the thing. Do you know the agent? I'm all about networking and being friends with agents in our community, because we are a community of realtors. We're the only people that cooperate yet compete, or we compete and then we cooperate. We're co-opetition. That's what we are. So it's a very dynamic, unique situation the way we go. So you might know them, you might not. If not, do you know their broker? Do you know someone in their office? Do you know someone that can speak for them, that can speak for you and make you shine? Now, again, make sure it's clean, do a nice packet, send them a thank you note and a gift card, do an e-gift card, $5 at Starbucks. Thank you so much for taking the time to review our offer. Have a coffee on me. Is it bribery? Maybe. It's a nice touch. Okay. Offer acceptance. So this is number 10, offer acceptance. Continue the communication the same style. The deal is not done, baby. It ain't over till it's over. Just because the offer is accepted doesn't mean it's time for you to be jerky. You're still nice. You're a great person to work with. And then you're going to get it to the finish line. Number 11 is the close and beyond. We celebrate with the other agent. Together, we did this. We made it happen. Both of our clients are excited. And here's the thing. It's all about the next one, because hopefully we get a chance to work together again. Someone in their office might be thinking about working with you on another deal, and they're going to speak very highly of you. Or maybe the next time around, you're going to have another shot at working with them. The end of the year, we send thank you cards to all the agents that we worked with on transactions for the year. We're grateful for them. We're grateful for their partnership. We're grateful for making it to the finish line. And yes, we send them a cup of Starbucks on us as a gesture of our appreciation. But it is about the networking, the relationships, and nurturing that, because we're in this business for the long haul. And I hope all of us are in this for the long haul and to nurture the relationships as we go. Wow, I looked at the time.
We're having so much fun. We're just doing a great job of setting the stage. We don't want to get off the stage now. We're here.
On the stage too long.
No, never. Sorry, I'm getting over a cold. I'm a little raspy here. I just want to, again, remind anyone, if they have any questions for Tamara, now is a good time to ask. And I can't help but plug some of the Reback member benefits. So Tamara obviously plugged the TBR. That comes out, excuse me, that comes out every month. And you can get it in the digital digest. You can get it in the member center at abr.realtor. We promote it in the hot sheet as well, which comes out every week. And we also have our blog at homebuying.realtor, which has posts on everything under the sun for your home buyers, and things like, you know, their role in the home buying, or excuse me, in the real estate negotiating process. And then we also have Consumer One Sheets, which are available in the Reback print shop, and they're customizable, and they're on topics such as why your client should sign a buyer representation agreement, and the differences between real estate agents and realtors, things like that. All sorts of good stuff there. Be sure to check that out. Just checking to see if we have any other questions. Doesn't look like it right now, but again, if anything comes in, you can always tag Tamara in the comments of the video below. She'll do her best to answer them. And I think that about wraps up for today. So thank you so much, Tamara, and thank you to everyone for joining us.
And tagging is caring, because if you tag, then I'll be alerted even once this is not live to come back and answer questions for sure.
Absolutely. Definitely tag her. So, so thank you to everyone for joining us. I hope you learned a lot about how to impress your clients, and please join, hi Siri, please join us next month on September 22nd to hear what Gonzalo Mejia's tips are for staying relevant in today's market. So thank you, everyone.